Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of My Lighthouse. And through the last episode, we were speaking about back to school and the whole concept of bringing children to school, helping them to settle in as soon as school resumes, and how we as working parents, or for anyone who is a working parent, can manage through this entire period to ensure that you're able to balance your life as a working mother or father, as well as being able to manage and support your child to the best of your ability and help your child to succeed to the fullest at school. On today's episode, we're continuing in that direction. Now we're taking it further to speak about how exactly we can do that, how we can set up structures and systems in our lives as working parents to ensure that we're able to really support our children in great ways. And then our children don't feel pressured. We don't feel pressured either. The entire back to school season is just a breeze for us. Today on the episode, I have Chiomah Momah, who is a lawyer, a freelance content writer, and a parenting advocate. She is the author of 4 books, and especially children books and one for adults. And she is a mother of 4 children. So she's got quite a lot of experience around being able to manage her work life, as well as coming from the parenting point of view. Welcome back to My Lighthouse, Ma. Such a pleasure to have you back again.
Thank you for having me.
The last episode, we were talking about the whole back to school concept and how parents can just navigate that period. It can be a really tough time, especially for people who work and they're trying to figure out how exactly to manage their regular 9 to 5s. And then now they have to deal with their children's homework, different school activities, crafts, whatever it is the demands are from school. And it's just something that one needs to properly plan for. If not, the parents can start to feel overwhelmed and under a lot of pressure from work and then from their children's school. So on this episode, we're talking more around setting up structures, setting up systems as working parents to make this entire season a seamless one. And I know that you had worked on a resource recently called Get Ready for School. And can you speak a bit about this?
Yes, I was smiling as you were talking because, a lot of parents do struggle with that, getting back into the routine as school opens. And I created that guide because for me, every year I'm looking for material and looking for things that will help me. Things as simple as, okay, what are they going to eat every day now that school has opened? What are they going to take to school every day? Because you don't want to wake up in the morning and start thinking,
Yeah.
oh, what will they take to school? You want to have that already pre-planned and pre-organized. Things like, okay, the academic goals for the year, what are they going to achieve this year, this school semester? You want things to be sorted out, your chores, for instance. So what I did was to set out some things that are important to working parents important to parents, any kind of parent, whether you're working or you're a stay-at-home parent, in maintaining order, especially as the children go back to school. So I gave a few tips and I created this chart. Things like even domestic chores. If you're in a house like my own, that is one argument the children will, oh, I washed plates yesterday. Oh, I did this today. Oh, it's your turn, it's my turn. Oh, I did more. But if you can actually come together with the children and say, okay, you know what? Let's create a timetable that is fair on how we're going to do these chores as school is opening, because you don't really have much time to deal with all those, deal with the uncertainty of who is doing what, because everybody needs to leave the house early in the morning. Things need to be set up to run themselves. So those charts, for me, they make all the difference. So I went ahead and said, okay, I'll create some, because, for busy parents who has time to be ruling lines and creating tables, I said, okay, I'll help. And I had created one, before for meals. I went ahead to create one for chores, one for lunchtime, one for, for different things that parents have to think about as their children, get ready for school. I also created an internet plan, because that's one thing, a lot of us now, wireless is in a lot of homes. Children get very distracted by the internet. So you want rules that will help guide them, especially when they're in school, when the school starts, to know that, no, you cannot spend time browsing online or watching videos anyhow. That's what that resource is for. It's really just to help parents get more organized as the as the school session or school term starts, and put things in place so that everything is running a bit more organized, things are more in sync, and things are not just left to chance, like, oh, bedtime. I even have a morning routine, I have an evening routine, so that your child can even see and say, okay, now that I've had my meal, now that I've had my bath, the next thing, for me to do is to brush my teeth. Now that I brush my teeth, the next thing is now it's time for prayers. Now that I've prayed, it's time for my bedtime story, and it's time for bed. They can even help with that structure because they can see everything written out nicely and clearly. So yeah, so that's why I put that together. It's really, I enjoy doing it, and really it's getting really good feedback because parents really need, every little thing helps. I always say, when you're, with parenting, every little addition to making your parenting easier does a whole lot for you. It could just be that the ease of, drive-through shopping, or the ease of being able to order your groceries online. Every small thing makes your parenting journey easier for you.
Right. And it was just interesting as you were speaking, you were talking about the fact that, a lot of things have changed now, and there's now more, for instance, children are more online now compared to before. There's that need to, for instance, schoolwork, and they need to go online to research and find out information. I mean, my little child that is 6, the way she's able to navigate the internet and find things is just interesting. That brings to mind the thing around safety for children online. And with COVID, it's almost like something you can't avoid at this point. Some schools and some clients, children would go to school in person. In some other clients, there's still the argument of, should we allow them come in person? Should we not allow them come in person? Maybe they should start off first from the house before they now come to school in person. Do you have any thoughts around that and how we can keep our children safe on the internet even at this time?
You know what I would say? Going to school, the children need the interaction. Even if your child has been homeschooled, they need to be homeschooled with 1 or 2 other children. It helps them, in their soft skills, interpersonal skills, and all of that. And we all know that staring at a laptop or a computer is not very healthy. It's not good for your eyes. It's not even good for the brain. So many, studies have shown that, look, these things affect hyperactivity. Already we're struggling with our children watching, maybe too many cartoons and stuff. You don't want all the light that comes out from the screens are not exactly the healthiest form of light. They're not natural forms of light. And it's been shown to cause a lot of issues in children. So without, reading our medical statistics, it's clear that we need the human touch more. But if the schools in your zone haven't gone back to school or they're still doing online, there are things you need to do as parents to make sure your children are safe online. There's been so much going on in terms of, predators, sexual predators online, people who are selling drugs to children online, even on TikTok, on, all sorts of apps, people who are soliciting for all sorts of things online. So as a parent, you need to be very observant, because at times your child, even though we're trying to encourage open communication between parents and child, sometimes a child might not tell you stuff. And most times because they're afraid of how you react, and also because sometimes they just feel, I mustn't tell mommy everything, even though we always say, don't keep secrets. Even spouses, when you're meant to be totally open, sometimes you still keep some things, I guess that is something human beings do. So, you have to be observant as a parent and notice anything. If your child is watching something and suddenly their eyes become glazed or something, there's a way you look and say, what's going on there? So you need to observe. What are you watching? There's a way the eyes will just change. This person is watching something they shouldn't be watching. So watch them, observe them. Then look at I spoke about the internet plan, when I was speaking about my guy. That's something that you should also look at. Something that we try to do in our home is that don't sleep with your gadgets. The only person that is allowed to sleep with his gadgets is our 17, almost 18-year-old, because he's off to college this year. Some of his mates are already in college. So I like, you know what? You need to learn to be sensible with your devices. But for the other ones, I said supposed to, because sometimes they will still try and keep their devices with them, and you have to remind them, which is where the parenting, consistency as a parent comes in. Because if you give a rule as a parent, you say, do this, and you tell them the first time, tell them the second time, the third time you don't tell them, and they say, let me just keep my device. You leave them another time. Suddenly they just think, I can get away with it. So you have to be consistent in making sure, look, these rules that you enforce are kept. So taking their devices away from them. One thing I tried to do was to have a general computer that was in the living room where everybody could have access to it and see it. The likelihood of you doing anything illegal or funny when with the computer that's in a public place is slim. I don't have TVs in my room the same way. I don't advise there to be devices in your room. So even if you do use a device, bring it out. At the end of the day, bring it and charge it in what some people do, they have a common place where they all charge their devices in the living room or maybe in the parents' room. And even me, one thing you need to do if you're trying to help your children with their online behavior is to model the right kind of online behavior yourself. Children are copycats. As they get older into their teens, they are copying their friends. When they're younger, they're copying you. And the things you do, the signals you give them go a long way. They don't like hypocrisy. Gone are the days where you could say, oh, don't do it. I'm doing it doesn't mean you should do it. You're doing it is every reason why they should do it themselves. So you don't want to give them reasons. So as you're guiding them online, let them know that you can actually do research offline. Encourage outdoor games and activity. A lot of people have, use TV to babysit their children and use devices and all sorts of things to babysit their children. Oh, just give you the tab. Oh, go online and do this. And it's really, really dangerous because they end up getting addicted to it. I remember my son, my youngest, at a point in time, he was always wanting to watch videos, and I had to say, no, you know what, this is getting out of hand, which is why I started doing a lot of research on how dangerous screens are, excess time on online and using devices, and learned how to encourage him to do other things, build a fort, go and play outside. So it's just actively looking for things to do. They're already overstimulated. That's just the truth. So when they're in the house, make sure no matter how much internet you have, that you are taking proactive steps to ensure that they are not always online. It's very, very important.
I mean, as you were speaking, I was getting some things from what you were saying, that a very, very important part of, for example, my children, like when they have to get on their devices or they're learning something or watching something, I make sure, okay, just you're staying where, I can come and I see what you're doing. It's not like you're backing the wall or something and then we don't know what you're watching. And somehow they already know that, oh, you can't watch something that mommy hasn't seen before, daddy hasn't seen before. So we're kind of just ensuring we're monitoring those things. So you're not watching strange things, because it's just really funny these days. You see a cartoon initially looks fine, it looks okay, and then children watch it and they're seeing different things from that. So I think that those valid points around making sure that they're using their devices in places that you can see and you can actually check. If possible, interestingly, there are different apps as well that can help you, like lock up certain applications apps on the computer, and just pretty much just you're limiting them to a certain number of things they can do, and that helps to limit things. One of the things I used to do when they were a lot younger was actually to download the specific videos I want them to watch. And that was pretty much what they were watching. They weren't watching anything else for quite some time before they started watching YouTube.
And they're not connected, it wasn't connected.
Yes, so that way I'm certain of what they are watching, because there are things that I put there for them to watch, right? It's sad that this is the times we're living in, and we have to be super, super sensitive to see the things that children watch and things they're exposed to. I like what you said about outdoor games. Like that's something that for some people take it as a practice and are trying to get used to it. Some are not very used to it. Especially as a working parent, sometimes you're just like, I'm very busy, please just take this tablet and go and sit down. Just sit in one corner, go and watch the TV. Sometimes it seems like it's helping, but in a way, helping the parents to focus at that moment. But at the end of the day, you don't want your children so exposed, just like you said, so exposed to screen time or things that can be detrimental to them. One of the things that is also a concern for me is for parents who are having to deal with their schedules. And so for me, I would say, and this is a question to you now, so whether it's in person, whether there's in-person learning or you have to go to work in person, or remote or hybrid, you're doing both, what recommendations would you give to working parents so that they can effectively work around their schedules and don't feel overwhelmed by the different things that they have to deal with during this
relation to, as in general?
Yes, during the back to school season.
Okay, in general, I think one thing they should do is that they need to take a little time off. What I recommend is that if your children, most times a lot of parents take time off over summer so they can do holiday and they go back to work as their children are going back to school. I would recommend also allowing your time off to spill into when they start school as well, to spill over a bit, so that for the first few days when they're back to school, you are still kind of on holiday mode. That helps you have time to meet their teachers, go to school with them. You're a bit more relaxed. You're not rushing. It's not the whole mad rush of everybody, you rushing to work, them rushing to school. You have a few days to ease into the system, make sure they're settled in school, and then you are now going back to work. That really, really does help me. Just even if it's just 1 or 2 days, it makes all the difference. And still going back to the internet thing, Family Link is something that has really helped me because it helps me put my children's devices off at certain times. And there are a lot of
How
apps
did that work?
free.
Family Link.
Family Link, it's a Google app. You put it on
Okay.
every phone in the house. You put it on, and they tell you if your child downloads anything, it shows you automatically. And if it's something that you preset it, so some things are not even allowed to be downloaded, and anything they download, and at certain times, if you based on how you program the device, it will go off. So if you program the device to go off at 8 p.m., you can even leave the device with them. It doesn't matter, because at 8 p.m. it will go off, and they will just say a blank screen as long as the parent has your phone with you.
And I wonder what happened to that. Mommy, my computer is not working.
Oh yes,
Sorry.
good night.
It's time to go to bed.
Bedtime. So that was that has really, really been helpful with helping with device, because there's just so much, which is why I even tell parents, I gave my daughter a phone a bit too early. I wish I hadn't. I gave her a phone when she was 13. Left to me, I wait till like she was 15 or 16, because there's just so much you have to do as a parent. Monitoring devices is just extra work that you don't even need. So if the child doesn't need that device, please don't give it to them. It gives you more parenting to do, more monitoring, more talking, more work in general, especially if you have more than one child, because you're basically like, oh, checking on that one, checking on this one. So yeah, so as as working parents, like I said, number one, try and take a little time off when they're going back to school, especially when it's a new school year or they're going to a new school. And also try and be for them. What I try and do every day, if you like my second son started school today, I took him to school. That's one of the things you do to make sure that they're good and they're calm and they're happy, and even if they're older children, they still do appreciate that as well. And another thing you need to do that really helps for working parents is your sleep habits. A lot of times, when you're a child, one of the things you look forward to when growing up is that you get to have no bedtime, right? You can sleep whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really healthy. That's just the crazy thing. So now, finally, I can stay up whenever I want, but it's not the right thing
Not
to
the
do.
best
So,
for my health.
yeah, not best for you. You need your energy, you need your vitality. So you need to have a good sleep schedule. Try and go to bed, at a good time. Another thing that can really help you is getting exercise into your routine. And I'm talking to myself again because I'm on and off the whole exercise thing. I jump, I start, I stop. And if you have a routine of exercise, it really does help your energy levels. You're more energetic during the day. You're able to do more with your children. You have more vitality to even play with them and hang out with them and do stuff with them as they go back to school to check their homework and all those things that you need to do. And that thing that can really help working parents when this is like before they even go back to school is the choice of school. Like I like in the Western world, most times the school district is dependent. When you send your child to school is in the school district where you live, so it's close to home and or close to work or whatever. But here, you can live in one part of town, your child is like 45 minutes away, which can be a bit stressful. I always tell parents, try and find a school that's either near your house or near your school. Proximity is key.
Or near your workplace.
Yeah, proximity is key. So it should be near your home or near your workplace. Yeah. So make sure it makes life easier. Imagine when you have to drive, you're driving to one, for you that lives in Abuja, you're driving from Apple to drop your child in school in Lugbe, then your office is in Maitama, you're just, going cross country. It's just going to be very stressful for you. So find a way of looking for a good school in your neighborhood or a good school near your office or your place of work, to make your life easier and to take out stress from you. Because the truth is that this body it needs to be looked after. It is not, I don't know, it's not, it's a machine that needs to be well oiled and well rested and well maintained. If not, it can break down. So that's one thing that I always advise parents to do. And even as you go back to school, a lot of us are doing things for our children, taking them to the dentist, taking them for eye tests, taking them for medicals, doing all sorts of things to make sure that they're ready for school. And we're not doing the same for ourselves. You need to make sure that you are okay. Do your dental, as they're going for their appointments, book one for yourself as well, and make sure that you're in tip-top shape and ready for the new school session. Another thing that really, really helps, with working parents is having, being in touch with some other parents in the children's school. A lot of times we just feel we don't have time, we're so busy, we don't socialize in school. I already have my group of friends, in my church community or in my neighborhood. I don't need a new set of friends in school. No, you do need one or two people because they do help. There are times when no matter what, you've tried your best, there's this project and you're going to miss that recital. Having a parent who you're friendly with, who can cover for you and say, you know what, Wemimo, just relax. Even if you come in 10 minutes late, I will, I'll cover you for this, this one time. Like, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be missing recitals, but at times these things happen or you're late. You can have that parent that can cover for you, so you're not feeling like, oh my goodness, I've just ruined my child's recital experience. So it's good to have, 1 or 2 moms or dads who can help you in that regard, who can also give you, keep you abreast of what's happening in school. You might just be so busy that you actually don't even know what's going on. But if you have those contacts in school, you always know what's going on. The same with the school administration. Always be in touch with them. Always let them know that you're there. No matter how busy you are, you're not too busy for your child. Keep that knowledge. Keep that knowledge in their head, because like I always tell people, like my mom always said, if you love your child, the child's school will love your child. And when I say love, I use it loosely because we all love our children. But when I say love, it's like when you show it, when they see you as a present parent, when they see you as a parent who is involved, they will pay a lot of attention to your child as well. The truth is that we're human beings and they are biases. So the child who is neglected, the child who nobody ever attends his programs, unfortunately, that might be the child who even the school themselves might also end up neglecting. Okay, right. It happens like that sometimes. Yeah, so we really need to
say, teachers, please watch over the children. Don't
neglect. Yeah, teachers. I will say that because if you do have a passion for children, you should look out for those kind of children more. That's the honest truth. So please look out for children, irrespective of whether their parents are present or not. They could be from troubled homes. They could have a lot going on, and it's at least they should come to school and look forward to being treated well in school and being looked after in school.
Wow, thank you so much. I feel like this is just a really nice way to wrap up the series, the first part talking about back to school and digging a bit further into certain structures and just the things that we can do in practical terms and how to just make sure that the back to school is really seamless. For those listening, I really love us to take the conversation further. I'm always happy to connect with our listeners. So if you have questions or if you have something to say, you have an experience to share, or there's even something you feel like, I would love Mimo to talk about this topic, in one of the series or one of the episodes, by all means, please reach out to us at my Lighthouse Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're always happy to connect with you. You can send us a direct message and we'll be happy to connect with you and take the conversation further. Until the next episode, please stay in God, keep growing, and keep pushing yourself to be a better version of you.